Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video we're taking a look at some fun battles from the Spring Cup featuring a very unorthodox pick, and that is Maractus. These battles were submitted to the channel by a member of the community, Executor8787, so many thanks for the battle submission. Now Maractus is a pure grass type Pokemon with the moveset of Poison Jab, Aerial Ace, and Solar Beam. And while Maractus is not a recommended Pokemon by any means for gaining Elo, this trainer is able to use Solar Beam to devastating results. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches. Off to a terrible start in the first match, leading Tentacruel into Gastrodon. Two grass types in the back means we will see a save switch into Maractus, but that's going to be punished with a Tentacruel switch in. Tentacruel resisting the poison jabs as well. Maractus on 1 HP gets to the Solar Beam. This should do some nice damage into the Tentacruel, and it KOs in one-shots. I'm as surprised as the opponent here. The opponent said, there's no way I can't survive any one move, and they were mistaken. They get KO'd, and now with switch advantage, Shadow Cacturn is here to completely shut down Gastrodon. Trailblaze is going to be shielded. We now see a switch out into Golisopod. Golisopod taking heavy damage from the boosted sucker punches, and there's a last second switch out on the X-Scissor to catch it onto the Tentacruel. And with a precise play like that, it just slams the door on any potential win con for the opponent. They go for the less hard-hitting X-Scissor, maybe hoping to set up Gastrodon farm down to try and win the game, but realistically, there's just no path forward in this match. Scald into the Gastrodon is going to be no shielded, and thanks to a Solar Beam, game 1 ends in victory. Hopping into game number 2, great lead, Tentacruel once again aligned to Golisopod. We're going to see a save switch into Ferrothorn, and Ferrothorn is immediately going to be met with Shadow Cacturn. Shadow Cacturn bluffing a dynamic punch as it goes with the Trailblaze. The Trailblaze is going to be shielded up by the Ferrothorn. And oh my goodness, having played against a lot of Cacturns in this cup, shielding a Trailblaze bait feels absolutely awful because you know the future charge moves are just going to do so much more damage. A second Trailblaze, oh no, and a second shield. This is now a double boosted Cacturn. Cacturn shielding up the Flash Cannon. Opponent brings in the final Pokemon, Tentacruel. Oh, they don't get the farm down, and it's just over. This is double boosted Trailblaze. And it looks like the opponent force closed the app. They knew they were getting one shot by the Trailblaze. So game 1, Maractus puts in work. And game 2, it's the other Cactus, Cacturn, putting in work here. Since the opponent already force closed the app, they as well send in Maractus to do the last few fast moves of damage. We move to game number 3, Tentacruel, another good lead, leading into the Weezing. Opponent is going to save switch out of here into Feraligatr, answered by the Cacturn, but a pop-up occurs at the worst moment. iPhone 2 close pop-up. Y'all are going to have to let me know down in the comments because I don't have an iPhone. Is that a common pop-up? That is the worst timing ever. Mid-battle, it costs Cacturn fast moves, forces Cacturn to go down 2 shields, when typically it should just be able to 1 shield Sucker Punch farm down. That is devastating. In comes Galarian Weezing. Weezing going to be met with a Payback. Payback will inflict massive damage if it lands, which it does, banking a move and a nice catch back onto the Tentacruel. But this team typically has a Lapras as the third Pokemon. There it is. And a 2-shield Lapras should be able to sweep this endgame every single time, as long as they're running the correct moveset of Ice Beam. Sludge Wave. That was kind of the win con there, hoping for the Hail Mary Sludge Wave to be no-shielded, but the opponent realizes they have 2 shields and they need to use them. Sparkling Aria is going to KO. In comes Maractus, and it's going to be a bad day to be a Maractus. Oh wait, they have Sparkling Aria. They don't actually have the Ice Beam. Maybe there's a chance here if Maractus can't hang on. Maractus, Sparkling Aria will survive. There's the switch into the Cacturn, and Cacturn is going to launch a Trailblaze. Trailblaze shielded up by the Lapras, but there's the switch into the Weezing. Weezing is going to get the farm down. Maractus exits with an Aerial Ace, and it all comes down to this. Will an Aerial Ace KO? I just don't think it will. The Aerial Ace, it's not going to be enough. And even with no Ice Beam, the opponent is still able to clutch the win. We see very neutral leads in the next match, Tentacruel against Credilli. Credilli will outpace here. Credilli throws on alignment, which is a pretty big surprise as they can throw on good timing and still outpace. There's a save switch. Oh, it's a simultaneous save switch. Shadow Cacturn into the Ferrothorn. At worst, this is a Power Whip, so we will see the no shield. Power Whip is going to connect. That's quite a lot of damage to the Cacturn, but Cacturn is able to withstand it, and now looks to connect with the Payback. Payback is going to be no shielded. Down goes Ferrothorn. Switch advantage has been won. Back in comes Credilli, but Credilli's getting outpaced. The Trailblaze has been reached. Credilli is going to end up shielding, but they're taking so much damage from this Cacturn. And now Maractus is going to hit the field. It's Quagsire in the back. Honestly, Quagsire may have been able to pull off a win there because Solar Beam is so expensive, but the opponent is going to resign the match. Great lead, Tentacruel again into Weezing. We're going to see the safe switch into the Shadow for Alligator, and this time there is no iPhone pop-up. So we should see a one shield farm down here by the Cacturn. That is how this matchup is supposed to go. Thankfully, there's still at least one shield intact for the endgame now. Trailblaze into the Weezing is going to connect. That's some pretty severe damage. Trailblaze number 2 is being launched as well. This Trailblaze is not going to pick up the KO. Very low health Weezing barely hanging on, and that is a catastrophic survive. Tentacruel answered with a Lapras once again. And Lapras, it's going to come down to, do they have the correct moveset of Ice Beam? If they do, then unfortunately, I think Maractus is not going to be long for this world. You kind of have to no-shield this as the Tentacruel because you know you can survive it. Tentacruel is going to no-shield, and now just going to look to fire off this Scald. Scald into the Lapras. We are going to see the final shield used. In comes Maractus. Maractus with a tough call to make. Will we see a no-shield here? Shields and gets it right. It's going to be the Ice Beam, but there's just too much energy available on the Lapras. Ice Beam connects. Maractus barely hanging on, and the catch. No, there's the catch as well. I mean, to be fair, an Aerial Ace wouldn't have knocked out there, but with the Poison Dabs after, it could have, and that catch just won the opponent that game. That is very unfortunate. We move to the next match. Oh my goodness, it is National Lead Weezing Day. There's a safe switch into Feraligatr. Well, at the very least, Exeggutor is getting an immense amount of practice battling against this particular team, because this team is being used time and time again. Unfortunately, it looks like a slower swap this time is going to force the Cacturn to actually have to throw a Trailblaze. The opponent's CMP ties, so the opponent, interestingly enough, does actually just want to get shields down. Shadow Cacturn is going to leave one stage boosted, and I think this Payback might just knock out. It's resisted, but it is one stage boosted into the Weezing, picks up the KO. In comes the Lapras, and they're just going to resign the match without even seeing the third. Third time's the charm. Exeggutor finally able to defeat that team. Very interesting lead in the next match, Tentacruel into Empoleon. Empoleon, its typing is amazing, but unfortunately, all of its fast moves are very mediocre. I would love to see an Empoleon buff at some point. Drill Peck is going to land. There's an aggressive pivot into the Cacturn. Cacturn farming up to the Trailblaze, but there's a switch, a catch, and a sneak, catching the Trailblaze onto Ferrothorn. That's honestly a pretty nice catch from the opponent. Shadow Cacturn going to end up shielding, and it shields a mirror shot. That is unfortunate. Firing off another Trailblaze, and we do see another Bullet Seed come through. The opponent, now it's their turn to give a free fast move, and Cacturn is going to full commit to switch advantage. We're going to see the full farm down from the Cacturn. Cacturn exiting with energy, but cannot survive the fast moves. In comes Maractus. Maractus going to win the CMP tie over Abomasnow. Abomasnow losing that CMP tie. Unfortunate for the opponent. Let's see, are they Weather Ball or Icy Wind? It's going to be the Icy Wind that KOs Maractus, and it's all up to Tentacruel to try and close out this game. Tentacruel is going to go for the Scald. Scald is resisted damage, but with the Poison Jabs, it is going to KO. Will a Drill Peck knock out here? This is going to be close. Drill Peck gets Tentacruel very low. Tentacruel able to make a last second Scald. This is resisted, but it's an Empoleon. It's getting KO'd, and that game will end in a win. We move to the next match. Tentacruel is going to be met with Electrode. This is a tricky matchup. Both Pokemon dealing super effective damage. Electrode obviously always has the threat of a Wild Charge and a Dip. We see the shield, there's the Wild Charge, and there's going to be the pivot out into Empoleon. Empoleon Definitely a bit uncomfortable. We are going to see the Skull just to get some chip. And ideally, I think you're just going to look to stay in here and play this out, because your backline really doesn't want to take these charge attacks from the Empoleon. But if you stay in with the Tentacruel, Tentacruel does have a lot of play. So Tentacruel is going to go for the Scald into the Empoleon. Empoleon is going to shield. In comes the Cacturn and able to snipe down with Sucker Punches. Opponent now going to send out Klefki. And they really are ABA weak to the Cacturn. To be fair, Cacturn is extremely frail, so Astonishes will still add up here. Cacturn barely hanging on, and Cacturn does make it to the move, so we will see a shield as Klefki goes for the foul play. There's the switch to Electrode, and Electrode is going to get the Cacturn low. Cacturn will pick up the knockout with the Trailblaze, getting as much damage as it possibly can onto the Klefki. In comes Maractus. Maractus not going to be able to do a whole lot here. Going to go for a resisted non-stab Aerial Ace. Aerial Ace lands, getting the Klefki low. Let's see, what can Klefki do here? It's going to be the Flash Cannon. Maractus gets KO'd, but Tentacruel, with a few poison jabs, is able to lock down the win. Moving to the next match, Tentacruel against Lapras. This matchup slightly favors the Lapras, not the worst ever. We are going to see an aggressive pivot into the Cacturn, and that will bait out Tentacruel. Cacturn, very low HP, but will make it to the payback, and this guarantees either switch advantage or shield advantage. The opponent is going to give up a shield, and now Exeggutor gets to bring in his own Tentacruel. Use it to absorb this energy, and then hope against hope that Maractus can do the impossible and sweep an endgame. We've seen Maractus land a Solar Beam, but Solar Beam is a pretty expensive charge move. Tentacruel is now going to fire off a Scald at the opposing Tentacruel, looking to secure the knockout here. The Scald does pick up the KO. Back in comes the Lapras, and the Sludge Wave is reached. This will inflict very nice damage. Sludge Wave connects. In comes Maractus. It's answered with Cacturn. Super effective poison jabs adding up, but so are the Sucker Punches. Maractus trying to get the double up. It cannot get there, and unfortunately, that's going to be a loss with both shields intact, as Maractus is just way too frail. We've got a mirror lead in the next match, Tentacruel versus Tentacruel. I would not be surprised if the opponent also has double grass in the back. The opposing Tentacruel does win the CMP tie, and that's unfortunate, as they will have the first shot at the 30% attack drop from Scald. Neither Scald is going to inflict a lot of damage in this matchup, but honestly, that's never really going to be the goal. The goal is always just going to be to try and neutralize this Tentacruel, because the back two Pokemon would get absolutely shredded if they encountered it. I would love a Sludge Wave here. Oh, we actually see a catch attempt. The opponent sending in Amoonguss, and Amoonguss is going to be hit with the Scald, and now Amoonguss will be answered with the Cacturn. Amoonguss is going to end up throwing on alignment as they bluff a potential Sludge Bomb, and they are going to full send that move. Now Cacturn, can it get the full farm down here? The answer is yes. Cacturn exiting with so much energy. In comes the Tentacruel, and Tentacruel, they're not going to like the fact that they have to shield twice here, because there are back-to-back Trailblazes loaded. Trailblaze number 2 launched at the Tentacruel. That's going to be shielded. Tentacruel is going to get the farm down, and it's going to be Maractus versus the world. It's Leavanny in the back, and Leavanny is about to have a terrible day at the hands of Maractus. Opponent going for the cheaper Leap Blade here. Oh, there's a catch attempt, but Maractus wins CMP over Leavanny, able to deny that energy. Maractus needs the Aerial Ace, and it's winning CMP once again. Maractus putting the team on his back. Cacturn's been doing a lot of the carrying, but this game was definitely a Maractus clutch. Hopping into the final match, and we've actually got the same leads as last game, Tentacruel versus Tentacruel. Again, in this matchup, if you have Sludge Wave, the play is probably going to be to Scald first, take 2 Scalds, and then try and pick up a knockout with a Sludge Wave, because barring any Scald debuffs, I believe that the Poison Jabs, a Scald, and a Sludge Wave will be enough to knock out. So we are going to see the opponent play to the CMP tie here on the Sludge Wave, but this time Exeggutor is able to win the CMP tie in the Tentacruel mirror. Sludge Wave lands, looks like it barely does not knock out. The opponent is going to go for the Sludge Wave as well, and there's a snipe with the Shadow Cacturn. Opponent now going to send in Ferrothorn. Oh no. If this is their best response to a Cacturn, they do not have any response to a Cacturn. We're going to see the Power Whip get shielded. Ferrothorn now going to be baited with the double resistant Trailblaze. They do end up calling the bait, but they're just getting farmed down. It's Leavanny in the back. Leavanny would be able to land double super effective X Scissor, but that's only if they can make a move, and they're just not getting there. Cacturn on a rampage. We're going to see a no shield. Leaf Blade picks up the KO. In comes Tentacruel, and now it's the Maractus show. Maractus is going to go for the full Poison Jab farm down. Hail Mary Flash Cannon coming out from the Ferrothorn. Maractus shields, gets the farm down, and is able to secure the win. All in all, these are some very fun battles, so many thanks to Executor for sending them in. It goes without saying, and I mentioned it at the start, Maractus, not a Pokemon that I would recommend if you're looking for elo gains, but as the Spring Cup finally winds down, we're in the last few days, I really enjoy seeing people getting to run more out-of-the-box Pokemon and having success with it. And the moment I saw that Solar Beam land, I was like, oh my goodness, I have to make a video on this, because that Solar Beam landing was absolutely glorious. I can't go without first talking about the true star of the show, though. I know this was the Maractus feature, but Shadow Cacturn, it's gotten so many buffs time and time again over the seasons, and I'm happy that it finally has a meta where it can truly shine, because my goodness, this thing is absolutely terrifying. And in a meta where there's a lot of Psywave, if you end up in a situation where you don't have fast move pressure into it, then you're going to be in for a very long game, as we saw quite a few times. And I've really liked the adjustment in the second week of people realizing that Dynamic Punch is an optional move on the Cacturn, and that Payback actually ends up performing substantially better, because Payback, getting that same type attack bonus, is really able to apply monstrous resisted damage. So if you're stuck against something like a Weezing or a Tropius, Payback can actually force alignment if the opponent doesn't respect it. So again, thanks for submitting the footage. The battler mentioned in the notes that they are actually currently on vacation, and they were able to get Maractus for the very first time, and that's why they ended up submitting. But man, that Solar Beam, that was some pretty funny stuff. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoy watching content like this, please do consider leaving a like on the video and subscribing to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you, as always, to our channel members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is sincerely appreciated. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.